Digimon ReArise ends this week, and Digimon Survive comes out in July? What is up, everybody, and welcome back to an informal, unscripted news thoughts video. Digimon is going wild right now. On April 21st at 12 PM, I believe, Japanese time, Digimon ReArise will close down and you will no longer be able to play that game. So you've got about a day-ish from when this video goes live to play that game if you want to for some reason. This was the video I planned to do today. The video I planned to do was just to talk about Digimon ReArise, how it was closing down in the future of mobile games for Digimon because there's not much else on the horizon, and then Digimon Survive gets a July 28th release date. Well, technically at the time of recording it hasn't actually been officially given that, but it has. My initial source for this was Gematsu, who have the headline Digimon Survive launches July 28th in Japan, and their source is someone called Ryokacha2089. This is a person who apparently always leaks and translates VJump, and this is where this information is coming from, VJump magazine. So probably this month or leading into May, Digimon will officially announce this release date. Now this is specifically the Japanese release date, but Bandai Namco does tend to aim for simultaneous worldwide releases these days. So it is very likely that Digimon Survive will release, if not on the 28th globally, sometime that weekend, maybe the Friday, maybe the Monday, who knows. Obviously this is a developing story and Digimon themselves haven't talked about it yet, and I don't think they will do in the week I'm making this video, but I think it's very interesting that this has happened. First of all, a lot of people were very disappointed that we didn't get Digimon Survive news at Digimon Con. Now, I'm not necessarily mad that we now have a potential release date but didn't get one at Digimon Con, because it's definitely very likely that they didn't know what the release date was, but the way Habu was talking, it felt to me like Digimon Survive wasn't even going to come out this year. So the fact that it is not only a 2022 release, at least in Japan, but also so soon, we're in April now, May, June, July, 3 months away from Digimon Survive is mad. What the hell? I don't understand why at Digimon Con they couldn't have said, we are targeting 2022. Nice and vague. Targeting 2022 does not mean 2022, could mean 2023. It also makes me wonder, maybe they've got the Japanese version finished, but the Western version is going to take a lot more time to translate. So there is a small chance that it's July 28th in Japan and February 2023 for the West and other countries, who knows. Spanish translation, things like that are also a factor to consider. Will they wait until all territories are translated and then do a global release? Who knows? But Digimon games are in an interesting spot right now. Like I say, Digimon ReArise is closing down. It almost feels like Digimon ReArise is taking this big bullet so that Digimon Survive can come out, even though of course they're pretty much unrelated. It also is interesting to me now, what is the follow-up to Digimon ReArise? People put so much time into that game and so much money for rubies too. People formed attachments to the characters like Herismon, Michi and Salamon, the guy whose name I've forgotten who's got a Dorumon. All of these characters people have really liked, and people have enjoyed ReArise despite the fact that I personally didn't, and because the game does have a lot of faults. Bandai Namco has been known to do this. Digimon Link started in around 2016 and shut its doors in 2019, but Digimon ReArise had already been going for about a year in Japan at that point, starting in 2018. Normally we have a service to replace the previous game, but in this instance we don't. A lot of talk is saying that Digimon New Century is going to end up being the new Digimon game for the entire world, Japan and the West, etc., which I think does make sense because China is now getting a second exclusive mobile game, and maybe that was part of a deal to remove Digimon New Century's Chinese exclusivity and let it go out to the rest of the world. I'm not sure if Bandai ever disclosed the earnings for ReArise, but its player base seemed fairly consistent, even if the fall off month after month was also consistent. Many people seemed shocked it was coming to a close, which is odd because Bandai just does this with their mobile games. But I think the shock came because we didn't get the next Digimon mobile game announced. It wasn't even announced at Digimon Con. Another factor to consider is that Bandai did announce at Digimon Con a big update to the Digimon VB app side, with upgrades to the PvP and presumably other things. Do these upgrades include a sort of microtransaction infrastructure, some sort of gacha system? I can't imagine that being folded in, but I do think that the Bandai mobile team is probably also working on the VB app. So maybe Bandai's best foot forward in the mobile department outside of China is just going to be the VB for a while. The VB itself seems to be a pretty big earner, so if they can somehow monetize the app side of that, that might just be their path going forward, but I think New Century still stands a good chance. But right now we're in this weird void where there'll be no Digimon ReArise and there'll be no next mobile game, but Digimon Survive is coming out in 3 months. Kingdom Hearts 4 got announced this month too, what a month. I, of course, will be creating Digimon Survive content, whether it's streams, videos over on the second channel, maybe even news videos as we ramp up to its launch, but Digimon games are in a weird spot. I don't know what's going on with them anymore. COVID has obviously impacted development on a lot of stuff, but it also seems to have impacted their communication. What I'm saying, Bandai Namco, is if you need someone to help promote the game, talk about it, someone who is at or about to hit 30,000 subscribers, holler at your boy. I think Digimon is in a good place, and it now feels good to maybe be able to play Digimon Survive this year. I do still feel like Digimon Survive is going to disappoint a lot of people because of the expectations that people have set and because of how long this wait has been. Digimon Survive is not the next story game. It is not the next Digimon World game. It is this little sort of like creepy Danganronpa 999 style visual novel with tactical RPG elements. Apparently it gets dark, it goes places. I'm a huge fan of the Ace Attorney series and of like things like Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced. This is really in my wheelhouse, but I think a lot of people just think Digimon Survive, next Digimon game, ooh, horror, scary, whatever, and don't actually really know what the game is or aren't paying attention to what the game is, or maybe have seen what the game is in the February update and have now been turned off from it. I'm worried Digimon Survive isn't going to sell very well, which it probably won't, and also its reception is not going to be good, and that's kind of terrifying. We do know they're working on the next story game. Hopefully that will have a less prolonged development, but you know, it's a JRPG, it's going to take ages to come out. I hope Digimon Survive is enjoyable, and I hope that the backlash there may be is not too bad. I also hope that this game is not a product of crunch. More important than anything, whether I enjoy it, whether you enjoy it, whether the game is good or bad, whether it's a bug-filled mess, I hope there was not crunch. The memes about it coming out, taking forever, are funny, maybe it's a bit annoying, but I would never want any developer to go through crunch, and we may never know if they did go through crunch because of how closed Japanese, especially gaming companies, can be in terms of letting out information. I would say that if Digimon Survive comes out and is very buggy and glitchy, that probably is actually a hint that there was crunch. Typically more polished games actually are a result of not crunching. There's basically tons of data that crunch actually actively harms a game, doesn't make it better, which go figure. But yeah, hopefully there wasn't crunch, and hopefully this game is at least enjoyable. I do think there is going to be a fall off in interest when it launches, but hopefully, you know, Digimon New Century might be out by then, or whatever the next Digimon mobile game is. These are just my thoughts on the Digimon games kind of ecosphere that we're in right now. I have no idea what the future holds, so let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on Digimon Survive finally seemingly getting a release date. And are you sad, happy, don't care about Digimon ReArise closing down, and what are your hopes for the next Digimon mobile game? All those thoughts and anything else down below. Thank you to my Sovereign ZDK14 and my Digidestined, including new Digidestined Amber Ank 2000, Gekaluchi, Nightshade J, Cole Taku, Kenya Kubiaki, Night 12, Kya Jaeger, Rule Lima, NVBBX, Dresden Nova, Metallic Pool, Triple D, Reese Williams, Sad Uncle Callum, and Crimson Dragon Slayer, as well as my wonderful tamers and the Karn Club and Twitch subscribers. There will be a more conventional video on Sunday, but I felt like we needed to talk about this with ReArise closing down and Survive coming out. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.